Bankruptcy lawyers often talk about mistakes to avoid prior to filing bankruptcy. But are there some steps you can take before you file that can actually make your bankruptcy case run smoothly, more smoothly than it otherwise would? I'm Jonathan Ginsberg, and I'm an Atlanta area personal bankruptcy attorney. I've been representing clients in Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 here in the Atlanta metro area for over 25 years. Now, the things I'm going to tell you, you should definitely speak to your attorney about because they don't apply in every single case, but these are some suggestions of some tactics that I've suggested to my clients that have been helpful, and so I'm going to provide them to you as well, and I hope you find them useful. But again, don't do any of these things without first talking to your attorney. And I'm going to also explain to you why I'm making these suggestions. So, number one is, if you don't already have it, look into getting health insurance. Why? Well, first and foremost is having health insurance is a good thing because it will protect you in the event that you get sick, and it will eliminate the cost of outrageous medical bills if you have to pay cash. But for bankruptcy purposes, health insurance is one of those budget items that is allowed on the means test. The trustees in bankruptcy are not going to object to your having health insurance, so it's a good, safe budget item. And if you have to give something up, let's say you're surrendering a house or a car in your bankruptcy and now you have disposable income, health insurance is one of those things you can use that you need, it's otherwise useful, that can also use up some of that disposable income to make your bankruptcy more viable. The same thing goes for disability insurance. I've heard the statistic used that people are much more likely, maybe 4 times as likely to become disabled as they are to die. So having disability insurance can give you income protection if you are sick for 8 months, a year, 2 years, longer. So disability insurance is one of those things that a lot of people don't buy because there's a cost to it. But again, it's something that if you have disposable money, it's something that the trustee is not going to object to. It's allowed on the means test. And it can be a good use of your resources in preparation for bankruptcy because it also is a good way to start that financial rehabilitation. Again, the whole point of bankruptcy is to put you in a situation where you are not going to have to file bankruptcy again. You're protecting yourself. So instead of spending money on a car you can't afford, put it into health insurance, put it into disability insurance. Well, it'll actually do you some good. Number 3, I would tell you to set up budget billing wherever you can for utilities, electricity, gas, water, sanitation, internet, cell phones, anything you can, because budget billing suggests certainty. You're going to know every month that you've got a certain amount of money coming out for electricity, let's say $150 a month, gas, $85 a month. Bankruptcy works good with that because when you are filing bankruptcy, you need to know how much you have disposable, and if your budget changes every month, it's going to be tough. So, for example, in the summertime, your electric bill may be $350, $400 a month. In the wintertime, it may be $100 a month. Well, if you're doing a bankruptcy budget and you have to, in Chapter 13, you need $350 left over, but you have a summer month where it's really hot and you spend $600 a month in utilities, you may not have enough money to pay your trustee payment. Budget billing eliminates this type of thing. And again, bankruptcy runs on certainty and predictability. Budget billing is a good way to do this. Fourth thing is look at converting any permanent insurance. And by permanent insurance, life insurance, I mean whole life, universal life, into term insurance. First of all, term insurance is cheaper because you're basically renting insurance. It does expire at a certain age, but for most people, term insurance is just fine. Permanent insurance also builds up cash value, which is an asset. So you find yourself in a situation where you have permanent insurance, it has cash value of $15,000 or $20,000, and the trustee says, well, I want that money. But again, if you take the money out, you may not have the insurance. Better to deal with that beforehand. And again, talk to your attorney, talk to your insurance person, but you'll find generally that term insurance is cheaper and it doesn't create an equity problem. And for purposes of the means test and budgeting, trustees are going to be okay with term insurance costs because they're lower, as opposed to whole life policies, which are going to be many more times expensive. So if you can convert, and typically you can, from whole life or permanent insurance to term insurance, that's typically a good thing to think about prior to filing bankruptcy. Next thing would be get home repair estimates. And the reason for this is that if you're in a bankruptcy, let's say you're in a Chapter 13 that's going to last 5 years, you're going to have expenditures for your home, a roof, other kinds of repairs, perhaps new carpeting, maybe some plumbing issues. Well, if you know what those are ahead of time, we can build that into your budget. So in other words, if you file a Chapter 13 and we say $200 a month for home repair, the trustee is going to say, what is this? Well, if you can show here, I went and got these repair estimates, I'm going to need within the next 5 years a new roof, new carpet, we're going to need to redo our plumbing, get a new electric box, and the cost is going to be $10,000, $12,000, whatever the number is. You can say, that's why I'm allocating $200 a month, $300 a month, $150 a month towards home repair in my bankruptcy budget. And you can document why you need that, as opposed to putting in $150 or $100 for home repair, not being able to say what it's being used for, and then having to scramble if you need a new roof because you've got a big leak, and then trying to go back to court and say, I need to change my plan around, reduce the payment, or get a plan suspension for 3 or 4 months so I can pay for the new roof. Much messier. It's a lot easier to sort of deal with that as you go along. And even in Chapter 7, if it's something you have in your budget and you can say, look, the next 2 or 3 years, these expenses are going to be something I'm going to have to deal with, that's something that a trustee can understand and you can justify. And if you had to argue it to a judge, you can justify that as well. So get home repair estimates. And the last thing I would tell you is, and this is something that I think you should do regardless of whether you're filing sooner or later, is do a household budget. You're going to have to do it for bankruptcy anyway. But there's a couple good reasons to do a household budget, even if bankruptcy is a remote option. First of all, you see in black and white what's going on. You'll see that you are spending money where you shouldn't be spending money. Maybe you've got a timeshare. Maybe you've got some magazine subscriptions. Maybe you've got some online subscriptions that you can get rid of. So it's a good way to see what's going on, and to get rid of those, you may not have to file bankruptcy at all. The second thing is, if you sit down with your spouse, your kids, and you show them why you need to file bankruptcy. This is what we're spending. We've looked at this. This is why we have to file bankruptcy. Excessive medical bills. We've got to surrender a house or a car. You'll get buy-in from your family. And I can tell you, over the years, I've seen a number of my clients get divorced because a spouse really resented the fact that the other spouse had to file bankruptcy, and lifestyle changed. All of a sudden, they couldn't go out to dinner as much. They couldn't go to the movies as much. They couldn't take vacations. And that's because the filing spouse, or even if it's a joint case, the spouse that really was not enthusiastic about bankruptcy never really understood why they had to file and what it really meant. And so if you have buy-in from your family, and you want your kids to understand, well, maybe they can't do that after school activity, or they may have to get a job to pay for it. It's really helpful to have buy-in from your family so that everybody's on the same page, so that when you do file bankruptcy, it's sort of a team effort. You're all pulling together, as opposed to there being resentment by a spouse or a kid because you had to file bankruptcy because of something perhaps completely out of your control, like a medical expense or a car breaking down, something like that. But the point is to get buy-in from your family if you possibly can. The psychological benefit of that will really pay dividends for you going down the road. So those are some things that I would talk to your lawyer about doing before you file bankruptcy. I will tell you it's going to make the process go much smoother, and you'll get a much better result from the bankruptcy if you do these type of things, again, with your lawyer's advice. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and like us on Facebook, like our page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If I can be of assistance to you, please reach out to me. My number is 770-393-4985. This is Jonathan Ginsberg, wishing you well. Thanks a lot.